Yes. Yeah, morning all. So myself, I'm Vijay. Like I have 20 plus years of experience in different technologies. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not, right?
Yeah, sir, your voice is clear and it's visible.
Yeah, thank you. Fine. So starting with this, why data engineer? Why data engineer? See, if you go back like 10 to 15 years, like 2010 or 2005, there is no concept of data engineer. Like we got like developers like ETL developers. And why Azure data engineer? Role of Azure data engineer. Role of Azure data engineer, right? And how this data engineer generally students ask between the difference between a data engineer, data scientist, data analyst. So all this deals with the data engineer, data scientist, data analyst. And what are the various data engineering, Azure data engineering, Azure data engineer products or services that we'll be discussing, right? What are the data engineering products or services? What are the various services provided by Azure for data engineering, right? And that will be discussed as part of this course. And also the job market of Azure data engineering. See, I'm not saying like go with Azure data engineer. Data engineering with any cloud, it has got a great boom, right, in today's industry. Like today, like Azure data engineering with Azure or data engineering with Google Cloud, GCP has got a great boom, right? So here, previously we used to go with on-premises, everything with on-premises, but it was a time-taking process. Previously, everything on without cloud environment, without cloud. Data engineering on this on-premise, it's a very huge time-taking process. Everything we need to set up means cloud. Okay, I'll come back. What is the advantage of cloud over this on-premise? Cloud majorly utilized, majorly utilized for storing, analyzing, delivering data in various form, in various form. Data engineers with the help of cloud services. They work on data and make it structured and useful. Data engineers responsible, they are mainly responsible for smooth data flow, for smooth data flow from source to destination, from source to destination. Means they'll be pulling data from different data sources, they'll bring it to one place, and from there they'll be transforming it, and the final data they'll be loading right to the target. So they'll be responsible for smooth data flow from source to destination. See, advantage, okay, before that, right? Advantages of cloud. Advantages of cloud over the on-premise. Over the on-premise. Why we are going with Azure cloud means what is the advantage of going with cloud over this on-premises, right? In case of on-premises, we need to set up our own hardware infrastructure. We need to set up our own hardware infrastructure. Again, on top of that, OS installation and purchasing licenses like a database license. All this you need to take care, like OS installation, database license, hardware infrastructure, later like installation of a database server, designing database objects. Okay, so you need to totally take care about the infrastructure by yourself, that OS installations, licenses, installation of database servers for all this. Again, to maintain all this, to maintain all this, we require separate teams. We require separate teams. Like a hardware team is required for all the hardware configurations, and operating system team, networking team, networking team, security team, database administrators, database administrators. So all these different teams required: hardware team, operating system team, networking team, security team, database administrators. But here everything in the cloud. But here everything in the cloud. Everything in the cloud premises. No need to maintain all this. You no need to maintain all this. Hmm. No need to maintain any infrastructure, no need of any licenses, right? Yes. Everything in the cloud environment. See, generally, if you talk about this data engineering, right? Mainly parallel processing and distributed computation. So if you talk about the previous, like big data, huge data, huge volumes of data in GBs or TBs or petabytes of data generation, this big data Hadoop has brought a kind of revolution on this distributed computation, where your data is going to get distributed across multiple systems, processed by multiple systems parallelly, right? Instead of monolithic computation. Instead of this monolithic computation on a single system, storing the data on a single system, processing the data on a single system. But if you come to this distributed computation, where your data gets distributed, a very huge data file, um, divided into smaller partitions, they are going to get distributed across multiple systems, processed by multiple systems parallelly. So for that, what you need to do? All these things. Your networking team should work on that. If you want to create a 50 node cluster, a 40 node cluster, a 50 node clusters, you need to bring together all the 50 systems. They should be interconnected. The softwares has to be installed. The operating systems need to be installed. Licenses to be maintained, all this to maintain a 100 node cluster. If I want a 100 node cluster, so it takes around 20 to 25 days to maintain this. The same thing, the same cluster I can create in cloud within 5 to 10 minutes. It is taking around 20 days time for creating a 100 node cluster on premises, where you do everything. You need to do all the installations, all those softwares installations, right? Even if you want to install this Spark and this different types of other things, the softwares required, it takes a lot of time in on premises. That's why we started moving to the cloud environment, where it will be very simple. You just select the number. It will ask How many systems you want? Means to per 100 node cluster means 100 node means system. Node means what? System. System 100 nodes, 100 systems. It will just ask how many nodes you require. Just to give the figure. You want 40 or 30 or 50, how many nodes? That's enough. It automatically creates, just a create button will be there to create the cluster. And the configuration, you can select it. What configuration you want. RAM configuration, the processor configuration, whatever you want to select it. For all the 40 systems, you want the same configuration, right? Generally we maintain all same configuration for all the systems. So just provide this configuration. That's enough. Just say create, it will be created. But previously it was time taking process for creating a cluster, means physically. But here in the cloud, all this is invisible. Directly, you can create the cluster and you can run your things within the cluster. And where you can see distributed computation, where your data is distributed and processed parallelly. That's why we see very high speed. Today, data engineering, you'll be expecting in a very high speed, right? The results, if you are processing petabytes of data in very quick time, right? So not a single system, not like monolithic computation, not a single system processing it. So instead of that, we go for distributed computation, a cluster group of systems interconnected, and the processed by multiple systems. So that's the reason we go for cloud. Here we are going with the cloud, Azure cloud. Azure cloud is the cheapest among all these clouds, and that too Azure is providing a lot of regions, around 58 plus regions it is supporting, where you can create your resources anywhere. S- Yes. In this Azure data engineering, so I'll just at the end of the session, I'll be briefing you about what you will be getting. In this Azure data engineering, this is a package where you will be getting all data engineering products and services will be discussed. Not only like Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory, you won't write a single line of code. Everything it is a drag and drop, just like Informatica. If you got knowledge on Informatica, the same Informatica is a on-premise, but same like Informatica, I want on a cloud side. That is nothing but ADF, Azure Data Factory. Whatever you do in Informatica, that same thing we can do in cloud premises. That is Azure Data Factory, we say. Everything drag and drop, zero coding, codeless ETL tool. What is this? Codeless ETL tool. Even in Informatica, 80% you will perform drag and drop, 20% you will write scripts, SQL scripts. But here 100% drag and drop. You won't write any kind of scripts also here. Everything you will perform drag and drop. Um, but Azure Databricks is there. Azure Databricks is there. It is code based. Here it is code based, where you will be writing some. We'll be using PySpark. So I'll also be discussing about PySpark, Spark with Python implementation. Spark can be implemented in multiple programming languages. But today mostly Python is preferred, where especially for kind of machine learning kinds of things, Spark provides ML machine learning library, where it can be integrated with this, and we can execute all those things. So Azure Databricks with PySpark, which has got very high demand in today's market, right? People, if you've got Azure Databricks with PySpark, it is code based. You'll be writing any complex tasks, those things, everything. Like you have the total control by writing code based, and even total control on the cluster. So Databricks PySpark, and later like Azure Synapse Analytics. Will be within this course, like Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics, it's a kind of used for data warehousing, for big data processing, for batch processing, right? And also like Fabrics, Fabrics, right? It is newly introduced by Microsoft. So it's a single stop solution where you can perform everything in a single tap. So later I'll be briefing you about it. So as a once you are done with this course, like a you can you got a lot of broad interview search, like can go as a ADF developer, you can go as a Databricks developer, PySpark developer, like as a data engineer, Azure data engineer, you can go, right? Yes. Just I'll be briefing you about these things. What is the course content in brief we'll be discussing. Apart from this, you'll be getting knowledge about the various other like Azure SQL. You'll be getting knowledge on this Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake, Azure Data Lake, storage, ADLS we say, Azure streaming. Okay. You'll also be getting knowledge on this Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake Storage, and Azure streaming. Major discussions: Azure Data Factory, data ingestions, data integrations, data transformations, right? Azure Databricks, Azure Synapse and Fabrics. Apart from this, you'll be getting this knowledge on this, right? Fine. So, so in the case of on-premises, it is time-taking process. So we are going with the cloud environment, cloud. A data engineer, a data engineer is responsible for preparing a data, cleansing a data, transforming data as per the required format, processing a data. Yes. So generally people ask data engineer, right? Data engineer, data management, majorly for data management, like data storage, majorly like data storage and processing, data processing. See, what are the major data engineering activities like data extraction? You're pulling the data from different data sources, data cleansing, data transforming, data processing, data grouping, merging, all these things, right? As compared with a typical data scientist, generally, as compared with a data scientist. So people generally ask, should we go for data engineering or data science course? Means both have got equal importance in today's industry, right? Data engineering and data science. Data scientist just majorly like strategizes for the future. Strategizes for the future means recommendations for the future. Recommendations for the future means going to data scientist analyze the data, is going to analyze the data, is going to identify the patterns and recommendations for the future. Data engineer is going to perform all this: preparing data, cleansing data, transforming, processing, storage, all this. Data scientist majorly uh, data scientist like for data analysis. He does lot of data scientist, right? Data analysis, data predictions, classifications. So data analysis, data predictions, data classifications, clusterings, recommendations, right? All these things. On the other side, data analyst summarizes summarizes the data of the past. Summarizes the data of the past, visualizing the data. He too going to visualize the data. Analyze the data, summarize the data, and visualize the data. Majorly done by data. So here, if you talk about for all this, everything deals with the data. Here, everything, anything like data engineer, data scientist, or data analyst, everything deals with the data. Data plays an important role here. Who is going to pull the data? Who is going to bring the data? Who is going to prepare the data? For this data scientist and data analyst, for data scientist, all the data analyst, data engineering means pulling the data from different sources. A typical data, if you say a typical data scientist need to have the knowledge about this data engineering, like how to, that is ETL, how to extract the data, how to transform the data as per that algorithm, right? So is going to, data has got experience and data has got a future reference. Data has got experience, data has got future reference. Using this data only, you perform anything, data analysis or predictions or classifications, all these things based on this available data. So this data pulling from different sources, from different data sources, from different OLTPs, you need to pull the data, extract the data, bringing it to a single place, and from there, the required data, you can filter the data, you can transform it to the required format, everything done by data engineer. Data engineer, if you talk, data engineer does all the groundwork, does all the groundwork for data scientist and analyst. Data engineer does all the groundwork for data scientist and analyst. So majorly this data engineering involves, right, like what are the sources from where I need to pull the data, what are the sources of data, and in what format, what is the format of the data, what is the format of data, how to transform data, how to transform data, and what is the destination of the data, where, what is the target, what is the destination of the data. Excuse me. So data engineering, what are the sources, what is the sources of the data, what is the format of the data, how to transform data, what is the destination of the data. Okay, now coming to this, that is, now why Azure data engineer, why Azure data engineer, and why Azure data engineer is in demand today, why data engineer is in demand today, just check with this. Why Azure data engineer is in demand today. An organization, an, or, an organization, right? It wants to increase the business revenue by utilizing the customer behavioral data on its website. The organization using Azure for its operation. So the organization mainly going to hire two people. So the organization mainly going to hire two people. It hires two people majorly. A data scientist and a data engineer. Azure data engineer, data scientist. First, as data engineer, what is going to do? Is going to create a data warehouse. Is going to create a data warehouse for the organization. What is a data warehouse? What is a data warehouse? It is storage of structured and queryable data so that you can query this data easily, right? It contains data from various resources, new user logs, new user clicks, existing customer data. Data engineer structures the data, stores it, monitors it within this data warehouse. So this data engineer communicates with the data scientist. Data engineer is going to communicate with the data scientist. Secondly, he also going to communicate with the data scientist to understand the data requirement. He also communicates with the business team to know the business requirements of the organization. He has to keep in mind the business needs, the business requirements, the data requirement when dealing with the data in hand, right? The later the data scientist analyzes, creates insights from the processed data of this data engineer. And later that business teams require some kind of dashboard tools for visualizing the key insights, right? So what this data engineer does constantly processing, analyzing, and monitoring the data. He's the data engineer. He is going to create some data pipelines through which the data will be integrated with all the crucial stages of the data flow. And this he also makes sure that the data pipeline is always secure and efficient without any data leaks or data exposure. Primary, this is what the primary role of this data engineer professional, right? Yes. Role of Azure data engineer designs the entire data flow architecture. Design the entire data flow architecture, creates a data warehouse, creates data warehouse for storage of analytical data, and major tasks like ETL, extract, transform, and load, extract, transform, and load. See, extract, transform, and load. This is the one of the key tasks of data engineers, extracting data from multiple resources, transforming it into the structured and queryable form, right? And then loading the data into this company's storage service for further business evaluation by the data scientist. And also like data monitoring, data monitoring, right? Data engineers make sure that the ETL is performed in a proper way and data is available anywhere and everywhere it is required. And also like data security. Data security is also one of the key tasks of a data engineer, right? So Data need to be secure at each step of the process, right? Without any exposures or data leaks. And also like collaborations and communications. Collaboration and communication means this data engineer has to come constantly communicate with the business team to check the data insights means if the team needs any data insights, and also collaborating majorly with the data scientists necessary to deliver the data as per their needs, as per the requirement, and also like deployment, right? Yes. So the business team requires data on a certain platform in a structured manner to understand the insights, logs, reports, everything. Like if data scientists or data analysts require the data to be delivered to them in a particular form or platform, data engineers has to deploy and maintain such a platform. And also like analytics. Okay, data engineers, they analyze the data and transform it into structured and useful format. They need to have some strong analytical skills to perform this kind of analysis. And also some kind of automation, right? Yes, some kind of automation. Yes, automation, right? They have to automate certain processes. They have to automate certain process which requires minimal human intervention, such like data extraction process, right? So these are this role of a data engineer, majorly like ETL, extract, transform, and load, and remain like creating data warehouse and all the remaining things, right? Yes. So what are the various data engineering products or services, right? That is provided by Azure. Azure Data Engineering products or services. Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake Storage, ADLS we say, ADLS, Azure Data Lake Storage, and Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Data Factory, ADF, Azure Databricks, ADB, Azure Streaming, Azure Cosmos DB. Azure Key Vault. Okay, just in a single word, I'll discuss what are this. In a single word, I'll discuss, right? What are this? One second. Yes, can say fabrics. One second. Okay. Um, Azure SQL. In a single word, in a single line, right? What are this? Simply, it is a cloud or DBMS. Cloud or DBMS database of Microsoft in Azure. It is cloud or DBMS database of Microsoft in Azure. It is for OLTP operations, online transactional processing. OLTP captures end user transactions. End user transactions. It is not for data warehouse. It is for OLTP operations. Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Lake. See, previously, if we talk in big data, Hadoop a distributed file system. Distributed file system in the same way, some it is a distributed file system. Azure Data Lake distributed file system with unlimited data storage in cloud. That is data lake. For object storage, for object storage like file storage, different any types of file storage, right? Yes. And HDFS, previously HDFS, it's a on-premise DFS. Previously, we used to have Hadoop distributed file system. Hadoop distributed file system. It is a on-premise DFS distributed file system, but we have got Azure Data Lake, Azure Data Lake, Cloud DFS distributed file system. I can say it is a repository for large varieties of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data it can store. And if you talk like Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Synapse Analytics for data warehouse, for big data processing, for analytics, for batch applications, for batch processing, online processing, right? Online processing like request response architecture. User gives the input, but here batch processing or batch applications, user non-interactive applications. User is nowhere required here. But for any online applications or online processing, user compulsory required, user has to give the input. Here, like, and for parallel processing, Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Factory, ADF. In a simple line, ADF, it is a just like Informatica, right? Informatica is an on-premise ETL, but I want an ETL on cloud. That is nothing but Azure Data Factory. It is a cloud ETL or cloud-based ETL. Cloud-based ETL, right? Right, of Microsoft in Azure. It is a codeless ETL tool. Zero coding, zero coding ETL tool. Later, I will discuss more on this. What it does lot of other things. Azure Data Factory for data integration service, data ingestion service, data transformations, and do lot of things using Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. Azure Databricks. I can say it is a Apache Spark based data analytics platform. It is Apache Spark based data analytics platform. So Spark is a very high speed data execution model for processing huge data at a very quick time, right? So MPP, massive parallel process, very high speed in-memory computation, storage and processing, both happens within the memory level. Later I discuss, right? The architecture of it later I discuss in brief, but it is Apache Spark based data analytics platform. Azure Streaming, analyzing and processing high volumes, high volumes of streaming data, high volumes of streaming data. Streaming data means data which keeps on generating, data which keeps on incrementing. Such data we call it as streaming data. Processing high volumes of streaming data from multiple sources simultaneously. Azure Cosmos DB. Azure Cosmos DB. It kind of NoSQL database. Like see, just like MongoDB, we've got Cosmos DB. Okay, can say it is Azure cloud-based. NoSQL database. NoSQL database means not only NoSQL means what? Not only SQL, schemaless behavior, random access, record to record, different number of fields can be maintained. In case of SQL database, right? For every record, from first record to the last record, the same schema has to be maintained. But in this NoSQL, schemaless, record to record, a different number of fields, columns can be maintained. Azure Key Vault. Azure Key Vault. It's a kind of secure key management. Secure key management to protect data in the cloud. Using this Azure Key Vault, encrypting keys and small secrets like passwords, right? Fabrics. So it is a simply fabrics, I can say one platform, one platform for all data work. One platform for all your data work. So instead of using one platform for all your data work, instead of using multiple tools separately, like a data warehouse, data lake, BI, all this, it's a single, I can say, all-in-one data analytics platform brings together data engineering, data science, real-time analytics, business intelligence, everything into one place. Today, like Fabrics has got a great demand. It's a new concept, new topic, right? Fine. So, As part of our course, just I'll take 5 minutes more. I'll be saying what will be discussed as part of this course. In this case, Azure Data Engineering. As part of Azure Data Engineer, this is a package. I said first major discussion will be first we'll be starting with Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory, ADF. It's a I said zero coding ETL, codeless ETL, performing data ingestions, data integrations. For ETL means extracting, transforming, and loading. Later, Azure Databricks. And in this Azure Databricks with PySpark has got a great demand, right? People, if you can just check it in the Google, right? Jobs for this Azure Databricks, especially PySpark, Spark with Python implementation. So it's a Python API to use a Spark. Spark has got multi-language support like using Python, using Java, using Scala, using what today like PySpark is the mostly preferred. And Azure Synapse Analytics, Fabrics. This is the major discussion. This is the major discussion, right, in this course. Right. It takes around 3 months. The duration of this course will be 3 months, right? Uh, Fabrics. Apart from this, I also said you'll be getting knowledge on the other things, right? Like for RDBMS, like Azure SQL will be using, and Azure Data Lake, object storage, file storage, structured, unstructured, semi, working with all kinds of files like CSV, JSON, Parquet, Avro, different types of file formats, and also like Azure Streaming. Azure Streaming, right? Yes. Once you can just check with this course content, right, what will be discussed as part of this. So starting with Azure Data Factory. So one second, some query asked. See, one thing, Sanjay Singh, right? Migrating from Informatica to Azure. Informatica is not storing any, try to remember, Informatica is not storing any data. Informatica also like from source to target. It is just moving the data from source to target. So source will be one database, target will be one database, right? Informatica is a data brokerage tool. It is just a data brokerage tool. How to work with that? It's a tool, right? So it's not like, okay, we can migrate from databases. So I'll be showing you those things. Yes, migrating means from where you will migrate from on-premises databases to cloud premises. You want to migrate from what? On-premises databases to cloud premises. Yes, you can migrate. I'll be showing those tasks. That's part of our right. Yes, we'll be discussing that.
Okay,
This
sir.
Informatica is to perform some kind of ETL, right? Extracting data from different, transforming, loading back to this warehouse.
Right, sir.
Yes, it is
Okay,
storing data in databases, right? So that you can migrate to the cloud side. So for
actually, sir,
example,
we have the before today. I have attended one interview from the Infosys side. So
yes,
they
yes,
asked. So
yes, yes,
I'm the new in
yes.
the Azure data engineer. So that's why I'm
ADF
confused. Yes, sir.
ADF can integrate with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud, non-cloud, on-premises. Cloud means not only it can pull data from Azure cloud or other clouds like AWS cloud, Google cloud, it can pull the data, it can extract data, ADF. It's a kind of a data ingestion service, data extraction can do. And not only from the cloud side, even from that NoSQL databases and from on-premises databases like Oracle, MySQL, from all these things, it can extract data. Which one? ADF, pull dating. ADF can pull the data, right? Yes. So we have
Yes,
got
sir.
some building blocks for that ADF. You need to clearly understand those things. I'll be showing you the migration process, how we can migrate from this on-premises to the cloud. Previously, from the last 20 years, organizations running on the on-premise. If you're storing the data, everything on the on-premise, now everything you want to move on the cloud premises. Like you can migrate. I'll be discussing. We have got some
Yeah.
tasks we'll be doing on that. So in this Azure Data Factory,
Thank you,
uh,
sir.
yes, these are the major things: Azure Data Factory, Databricks, Blob Storage, Azure SQL Server, Azure Synapse, Azure Cosmos, and Azure Streaming. It has made it this cloud has made that data engineering things very easier, right? Because it is many ways you can say time saving. Otherwise, on premises, if you want to perform this installations, this creating, designing these clusters, everything, time taking. So Azure Data Factory, what are the data factory architecture? It's portal UI, top level concepts like majorly as a ADF developer, main thing data pipelines. You create pipelines, data pipelines, right? Within these pipelines, many activities you will be embedding. So we require like linked services, data sets, triggers, scheduling, data flows, integration runtime. In the case of pipeline, how to create pipeline, creating new pipeline, organizing pipelines, debugging pipeline, publishing pipelines parameters, linked services. If you want to connect with anything, linked service required. Like if you want to connect with SQL database, SQL server, data lake storage, or Azure data lake. Gen 2. Currently, we are going with Gen 2. Gen 1 is not supported now. Right. Data sets. If you want to work with anything, data set required means uh, Avro file, working with Avro file, binary files, CSV files, Excel files, JSON files, ORC files, and Parquet files, XML files, all these things. And also working with these tables in SQL database, SQL server, Oracle database will migrate data and will perform transformations. Activities, different types of inbuilt activities are available. Different types of inbuilt activities are available, right? You no need to write huge codings here. Different types, copy data activity copies data from one point to another point, from source to destination, and different types of other activities, metadata activity, filter activity, lookup, get metadata, delete, and iterations for even for iterating, right? If you want to copy multiple files, single file means okay. If you want to copy a single file from one source to destination, it's fine. But 100 files if you want to copy, so just like in programming languages, you got for loop, here also for each is there, and switch is there until if condition, right? Conditional based copying, or if you want to iterate it, triggers, scheduling, different types of, if you want to schedule trigger, tumbling window trigger, storage event trigger, custom event trigger, integration runtimes, and source control, ARM templates, importing and exporting credentials, managing private endpoints, monitoring ADF jobs, failure notifications, data flow is an important topic in ADF version 2, especially. In version 1, it was not available. In version 2, this data flows. Many inbuilt transformations. You don't need to write tasks, drag the transformations, which transformation you want, filter transformation or aggregate transformation or giant transformation, conditional, or if you want to derive a new column, derived column transformation, exist, union, lookup, sort, group by, pivot transformation, flatten, nearly many, around 20 plus transformations, inbuilt transformations we'll be discussing. And also uh, duplicate rows, removing duplicate rows, slowly changing dimension, SED type 1, type 2, and around 50 ADF exercises we'll be discussing, right? All this copying activity and performing transformations, all this by using ADF. Azure Databricks with PySpark. So before that, going with this Databricks with PySpark, I'll be providing knowledge on this big data and big data Hadoop, big data Spark, right? Before we go with this actual things, knowledge on this Azure, and coming to this Databricks cluster management, displaying clusters, starting clusters, terminating cluster, deleting clusters, cluster logs, types of clusters, Databricks pools, clusters, cluster mode, standard, high concurrency, and auto scaling, Databricks utilities, Databricks integration with the SQL or data lake or blob storage or Synapse or Snowflake. And coming to this PySpark, right? PySpark SQL data frame API, creating empty data frame, creating data frame, pandas, struct type, column class, select, collect with column, column renamed where, filter, drop. So these are all the different functions, inbuilt functions. PySpark SQL functions, aggregate functions, window functions, PySpark built-in functions. And all these other PySpark built-in functions we'll be discussing. Handling different file formats, CSV, JSON, Parquet, Excel, XML, Databricks, batch processing, incremental load, date transformations, aggregations. Yes, PySpark external sources and also integrations, right? Databricks streaming API, Databricks Lakehouse platform, workflows in Databricks. And one more thing which is going to bring some kind of revolution in this Azure data engineering. Okay, DLT pipelines. Very recently, you can see that in a Spark 4 version onwards, it is going to bring a kind of revolution in this data engineering field, like DLT, especially in Spark. DLT pipelines, Delta live tables. This concept here I didn't mention, but I'll be discussing it, right? Like Azure Synapse, overview of these pools using Azure Synapse pools, SQL pools, Spark pools, all these things. Deep dive into copy activities, data flows, Spark pools, in just to go through, and Fabrics, introduction to Fabrics, how to create a Fabrics account, Fabric overview, creating workspace in Fabric, one lake, what is Lakehouse in Fabric, one lake file explorer, creating tables, shortcuts, catching SQL endpoints in Fabric. So these are the things in brief, in depth, we'll be discussing all this. All the sessions will be interactive sessions, hands-on sessions, where if you can do it parallel, there is nothing theoretical or everything practical, right? Everything I'll be showing you practically, right? Uh, right. And this Azure Data Factory, yes. No coding, I said, right. Even 80% of the task I'll be showing you on your systems, right? Only 20% I'll be showing you on my system, because everything drag and drop. You need to know which one, right? Which operation, which data flows, transformations, activities to use. Uh, Only 20% of the task I'll be showing on remaining 80% you'll be doing on your systems, right? Azure Databricks, it is code based. We'll be using Python, basic Python knowledge required. Basic SQL knowledge is required here. PySpark, total PySpark course also. As compared with other training sites, you'll be getting the entire PySpark knowledge in this course, right? And also Fabrics, most of these other training sites, still, I don't think they are introduced this Fabrics, right? We'll be discussing about Fabrics, and apart from this, these things. And you will be getting each and every session video of this. Even if you miss any session, you can go through the video recording and attend the next session for the better understanding. All right. And a clear soft copy of these notes for all the topic wise, you can check it. For every batch, I'll just create. So you'll be getting create notes for this. Azure Databricks, if you think like Azure Databricks, PySpark. So if you see that notes for this, clear notes for all this data for every topic wise, right? Notes. Okay, this Databricks and Synapse Analytics, separate notes for this data sets. This is for Synapse. Azure Data Factory. For each and everything, separate clear notes will be available, videos available, assignments and tasks to work with, and some case studies. Like we'll be given a lot of assignments, tasks to work with. We will work with different data sets. Interview questions, around 100 interview questions, mostly asked interview questions. Interactive sessions, all the sessions will be kept in unmuted status. At any point, you can ask queries. Can do that practicals along with me parallelly, right? And apart from this, right, from Durgasoft side, people, if you doesn't have knowledge on this base, anyhow, for one or two sessions, I'll be taking syntaxes of Python. They looks like normal English statements. They're not as complex, like. And also, Durgasoft is offering some free video courses like Python full course video, full course video access, right? Like Azure, sorry, Python core and advanced, the full course video access around 100 plus videos on that of Mr. Durga, that Python video access you'll be getting freely. And also like for people doesn't have knowledge on SQL, MySQL video access you'll be getting free access. And also like they are providing Linux videos, shell scripting videos, around 100 videos of Mr. Durga. These are the free offers will be given once you go with this, once you enroll with this course. Tomorrow also everyone can attend the session same time at 7 a.m. using the same link to see more discussion on this. We'll be discussing from where we have stopped, not like a replication or duplication of today's session. We'll be continuing from where we have stopped. And I was talking, if you see that job market also of this Azure data engineer, right? You can just check it in this Google, right? Data engineering today like has got a great boom with lot of jobs. Even if you talk about according to the Microsoft, lakhs of companies, they are migrating, they are registering themselves on Azure today, right? If you see the Fortune 500 companies, they are utilizing Azure cloud services. They in turn increasing the number of job opportunities for Azure data engineers constantly, right? So they are regularly in need of professionals who work on Azure and they can handle huge data, that is big data. Even according to the pay scales also, data engineers has got the highest average salaries as closely as the data scientists. Even if we talk according to the survey of global knowledge, right? The two highest paying jobs currently, the data scientists and data engineers, right? Yes. So even if companies, right, they're interested in hiring data engineers with great salary packages, with offering high paying jobs for data engineers. If you see the data engineers, right, if you have got a good knowledge on this, if you have got you can command or you can demand for the salaries, right? You see this, especially this data engineering like ADE, Azure data engineering, like using with the PySpark knowledge, you can see 1.5 times more than the other technologies, the salary packages I'm talking, right? Any other questions? You got any other questions before I wind up? So tomorrow, same time at 7 o'clock, using the same link to see more discussion, right? Yes. Any other queries you got? Anyone?
So I can pay 1,000 and can join, right? If I
Yes, yes, you can.
okay.
This is for
People who
45
have,
days, right?
yes, see, people who have already joined for Databricks with PySpark, if you want the remaining thing, can just go with that, the remaining, and you can enroll for this. Yeah, it's a total, this is Azure Data Engineering, it's a package of different things. Actually, PySpark is a separate course. Azure Databricks with PySpark is a separate course. Azure Data Factory, Azure Synapse, Microsoft Fabrics, separately. Separately, if you go, each one is 8,000, 8,000, 8,000 around. It will be like, but it is a offer given by DURGASOFT, everything combinedly. 16,000 is the course fee for this, for all this. But if you take only separately, right, for this you got 8,000, for this 8,000, for this 8,000, 8,000 it goes. But it's an offer given. Apart from this, you'll be getting knowledge on this Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake, and Azure Streaming. Apart from that, the offer given by this DurgaSoft, you'll be getting total like Python course, full course videos, MySQL and Linux shell scripting videos. You'll be getting for free, right? Yes. So everything in brief, we'll be discussing about this. It's a 3 months. It's because it demands that because you going with the different things, right? Yes. Any other queries you got? Anyone, right?
So this one is not a PySpark one, like 45 days.
Yes, Kumar, right? Kumar
Yeah.
Nishal. So we'll be first starting with Azure Data Factory.
Okay.
Later, after that, it takes around 30-35 days for this Data Factory, right? 1 month it takes. Later, I'll go with Databricks PySpark, combination
Okay.
of PySpark. But
I paid for the PySpark.
if you want to, Paid for PySpark means it is for 6 a.m. I think you have paid.
Okay, the one new batch started from like 23rd today, right?
Today, yes.
I didn't, they showed me the link of this class. I don't know why.
So
You,
for
you
total,
people, there is Azure Databricks PySpark. It is running at 6 a.m. in the morning. Started 1 week ago, like
so total
Yeah, but
course 3 months, right?
total months, 3 months, right? 3 months. And even if you want to complete it faster, right? You can
Mm.
attend in multiple batches, right? Multiple Azure Databricks PySpark, Azure Data Factory parallelly, and Fabrics. If any batch running with Fabrics, you can attend parallelly because ADF is totally different. Databricks like code base totally. You can attend parallelly also. Right. Some of the students attending Databricks PySpark in 6 a.m. morning. Data Factory you can attend in the 7 a.m. in the morning, right? Yes. And if later, if anything in that Synapse or Fabrics, you can go parallelly. Yes. You want to complete it faster. Okay. But everything in 7 a.m., everything will be covered. Okay. Any other queries? Right. So many working examples and a project will be discussed at the last. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, fine. So I'm done with the queries. If there are no other queries, I'm signing off for now. Meet you tomorrow, same time, same link. Thank you all for your time. Thank you. Bye. Yes. Okay. Bye. Meet you tomorrow.
Yes.